Hi, this is Mamta Sahota. I am your realtor and I am an investor as well who brings you the best projects in the industry. As an investor, I only talk about those projects where I have invested or I am so confident investing in. So today, I'm super duper excited. I am sitting here with Jason Lam. He's the VP Sales and Marketing with CentreCourt, and we are going to talk about that kind of project where you're going to make money and will have great returns. So we are talking about
prime condominiums.
Thank you so much for your time, Jason. Today I'm actually going to ask you questions which are straight coming from my clients.
Okay.
So that we understand the project well, understand the industry, and we'll be asking questions more from the first time investors perspective.
Perfect.
There are hundreds of projects launching every year in different parts of GTA and around.
Right.
Why downtown Toronto?
Let's talk about why prime.
Okay.
Because I think I want to be able to apply it to something that makes sense for our
that
purchaser.
was my next question, but let's start
combine
with
those. Let's combine those
Yes.
two questions. So right now there's a host of options, and they're all great options. They're master plan communities. They're legacy developments that will completely change certain environments. And there's a lot of 905. There's a lot of fringe 416. You're seeing fewer and fewer downtown products, and that's been happening for a couple of years now. You're seeing a big explosion of the areas, the submarkets that surround true downtown Toronto. And I think that's great. I think that speaks to people's want to buy. I think that speaks to our evolution as a city and urban planning. But what makes downtown Toronto so unique, and in particular prime, is it has something that no one else has. We're talking about first-time investors, first-time buyers. So you want a foundation, you want a safety net, you want comfort. Because I think the reason why people don't buy real estate is because they're afraid, right? So when you look at prime, it has something that no other condominium site today has, and that's what I call an insurance policy. We've got an insurance policy at prime that no other site has, and that's access directly across the street to 47,000 students at Ryerson. There's no condominium that has that. And that 47,000 students grows every year. And there's 0 beds on campus. There's a very small percentile, 2.6 to 2.7%, which means that over 40,000 students have to find somewhere to live. That's not a small number. Forget about faculty, forget about international students. This pool is constantly regenerating, right? And they depend on the public, the private sector, your investors, to live, right? So all you parents out there that have sent their kids off to school, paid for tuition, paid for the rent, you're a prime example. You can relate to this. That's the insurance policy that prime can offer. That's downtown, institutions, infrastructure. So step 2, why downtown? In particular to prime. You're a 10-minute walk to Yonge Street, the center of Toronto. Retail, convenience, culture, lifestyle, energy, development, growth. But not just that, you've got access to 2 subway stations. Yonge and Dundas Square, which is in itself is a landmark, and you've got Eaton Centre and all of that. Then you've got College subway station. But the beauty about downtown is that I don't need them. Why? Because everything's walkable. There are sites that without the subway it is not a site. Your buyers wouldn't buy without that subway.
Absolutely.
Is that enough? Maybe it is. But the beauty about downtown is that you don't need all of it. You've got Ryerson. You've got Yonge Street. You've got what comes with Yonge Street. You've got subway access that gives you connectivity to the rest of the city, the rest of the GTA, should you need it. But the walkability factor of walking to work, the next step, number 3, is employment. I can walk to the University Health Network, the mecca of medical and related sciences, technology, right? That is the big 5 hospitals. So you've got tens of thousands of jobs, high-paying jobs. Then you've got the financial district, 15-minute walk away. I don't need a subway for that. I don't need a GO station for that. And it's built today. I'm not waiting for a 10-year, 20-year project. It's built right now. So let's not kid ourselves. So the funny thing about the financial district is that it's growing east. With each passing day, it's getting closer and closer to prime. Why? Because the city is moving east. Not because it wants to, because it has no other choice.
Yes.
Right? So now you've got employment, high-end finance, law, technology, entertainment, medical and related sciences, the medical field, and all of that is walkable. That's the most important, is employment. So now you've got this buffer of a never-ending rental pool of students. You don't like that? No problem. We've got the subway that connects you to the rest of the city. You don't like that? No problem. We've got, over 500,000 jobs in the downtown core. If that's not good enough for you, that will not, you won't buy anything else. Nothing else will make sense. So that's why downtown is so popular. That's why I believe in the downtown core, because these won't change. And these are built today. We're not buying for the future. We're not hoping that someone can bring to life this story, right? And it's going to take decades. So, and then so the next thing is value. When you look at Yonge Street, and I know this question, I'm totally blasting this question on another planet, but now you've got me started.
This is an amazing piece of information. Every time I hear from you, I learn something new.
So let's talk about value. The heart of the city is Yonge Street. It's the center of our city. No matter how north or no matter how south, it is the landmark of our city. And especially in the southern part, it's driven by the subway, which creates a bunch of convenience opportunities. That's where businesses want to open. That's where plazas are built, condominiums are built. But that's where some of the most expensive real estate sits.
Absolutely.
If you go west of Yonge, right, we call it the West Core, Bay and University. The last launches you've seen on those two streets, I can't even remember. They don't come around often because a lot of that land just isn't available to assemble. And when they do come, they come once every couple of years. So the pricing just is always jumping. It's a huge price jump. And that product today would be $2,000 a foot maybe even more, maybe slightly less depending on the product. And then so you go equal distance to Yonge East. And suddenly you're not talking about those numbers, right? You're talking about Church, Jarvis, Sherbourne, Parliament. And no one wants to talk about Sherbourne and Parliament, but I'm here to tell you that you have no choice. You're going to see development there. And you can either be someone that sits on the sidelines and says, I can't believe this is happening. 5 years from now, you're going to drive by and say, what happened? I can't believe this. Or you can be someone that understands that there's no other option if you want to be south of Bloor, as close to Yonge as possible. Your options are Church, Jarvis, Sherbourne, Parliament. And that is the future. So you can either sit on the sidelines and watch it happen, or you can take advantage of that to ride that wave, to see that growth happen. And so that's why I think the East Core has a ton of value, because today it's changing. Day by day, it's being revitalized. It's getting changed, just like Regent Park, just like VMC, just like Liberty Village. When Regent Park first launched 10 years ago, how many years ago, it wasn't that attractive. People didn't understand it, but they told you the plan. There's going to be 10, 15, 20 buildings. There's going to be schools and community centers, and people still didn't jump at it. But they told you the plan. So how could you possibly be surprised that a company like Daniels, in partnership with the city, now today the prices are $1,200 a foot. So the information, the data was there for you to make an educated decision to capitalize on it, and you didn't. This is no different. So you have to be a visionary. You have to be able to think outside of what it looks like today. Because if you want what it looks like today, you're going to go to Yorkville, you're going to pay $2,000 a foot. Oh, you don't want to pay that? Guess what? You're going to come to the East Core. Right? So that's, for me, the downtown core, what you're seeing, the values, the price points, the opportunity. This is where the opportunity is. And you have to be a visionary to see it, to understand it. Or it's just going to pass you by, and you're just going to go further and further outside, and the people that see it are the ones that will benefit.
Understood. This question, the one I'm going to ask you, is not here, but this just came in my mind. Where do you see downtown Toronto market as compared to international markets? Because many times when investors hear and they say the price is so high, how high it can go.
Right.
So looking at the international markets, where do you see and what kind of growth you're seeing in coming future?
It's hard to say because people that are here are in this bubble. Like they don't care about New York City. Like it doesn't matter to them that they pay more, right? It's one of those things where it's a personal concern. But if you were to try and lay out, our average prices versus any other major metropolitan like the Hong Kongs, New York, Manhattan, LA, we are very affordable relative to those communities. But we haven't had the time that they've had to grow. We haven't had the time that they've had to become these. I mean, Manhattan's been building for, it's been decades.
Yes.
Toronto has been asked to become this major city in the last 5 years. And we've got very limited infrastructure to support this burden of becoming, the main economic and cultural and entertainment icon of our country. So you can build all these condos, but you're not building new highways, you're not building new subways, and when you do, it's taking decades to build. So that's why everyone's going to come back downtown, is because the frustration of commuting to work. How do I make money? I got to come back to the core. If you think working from home is forever, you're absolutely wrong. You're going to see people gravitate back down to the downtown core. So, we are cheap in the international scale. We have a lot of room for growth. A lot of people are recognizing Toronto as a safe haven for business, a place to migrate, a place to raise your family and your kids. GTA in particular, Ontario, Canada as a whole. You're seeing immigration numbers pump into the country. You're seeing a huge innovation in technology for employment. Like, Toronto is growing in so many different sectors, so many different industries, and so many different facets that you can't stop it from happening. It's just going to happen. And Toronto will not be the Toronto that you knew 5 years ago.
Yes.
It will not be the wholesome, it'll be a different metropolitan. And because of its trajectory and because of its potential. And for good or bad, it will change. But it will change for the most part for the good.
Awesome. So there is so much room to grow. Less supply, huge demand.
Yes.